I am Dawn Crandall, your EVP of Government Relations for the Home Builders Association of Michigan, and I'm here today with Representative Parker Fairbairn out of the Petoskey area. And we are going to talk housing today. And so, Representative, thanks for joining us. The National Association of Home Builders has calculated that roughly $94,000 of the cost of a home is in regulatory costs. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, really, before I answer the question, I think, we have to look at just the history, I think, of home prices and the cost to build homes. My family's been in the plumbing and heating industry for 5 generations, 130 years, and our family's seen over that time the ramp up of regulatory costs. And when you look at $90,000 before you put a shovel into the ground, that's a real concern for the consumer and, of course, our builders.
And so that's based on single family homes. And I know that you also have an interest in a few bills that deal with the regulatory costs of multifamily, which is when we look at the state of Michigan as a whole, we need about 100,000, 110,000 units. So all units across all types of housing. So we're talking single family, multifamily, townhomes, condos, studio apartments. 40% of the cost on multifamily comes from regulations. And you and Representative Wooden have introduced a 2-bill package to not only look at how you bring that cost down, but also fill some of that void by creating more multifamily homes.
Sure. Yeah, it was a good bill we're going to see taken up here and voted out this week. But basically, all the bill does, it's pretty simple. Right now, multifamily homes require 2 sets of staircases, which is a huge cost for our builders when they're talking about building apartment buildings or these multifamily homes. And what my bill does is up to 4 floors, 4 families on each floor. You would be allowed to build a home that just has a single staircase while keeping all the safety requirements that goes along with that. And I believe there's a change in there that would expand the width of the stairs to 48 inches. So there's the ability to go in and out if needed. So I think it's a positive change, but that's going to cut a lot of cost for our builders. And really, we wanted to identify a few changes that we could really dial in on and focus on in the regulatory space that would help reduce the price of these homes when our builders are building. Michigan really has a great deal of regulatory cost, and this won't solve the problem, but it's a step in the right direction.
So I always say that housing issues should be policy-based and not political. And you and Representative Wooden come from different sides of the aisle, from different parts of the state. Why did you feel it was important to partner with him on this particular piece of legislation?
Yeah, that's a great question. Representative Wooden being from the Grand Rapids area and me representing Northern Michigan and the Eastern Upper Peninsula, I think we see that there are some issues in housing that stretch between urban and rural areas. This is one of them. We've got projects in Petoskey that are going on right now that this would have saved them a lot of money in the building process, this bill in particular. So it's good when we can partner in a bipartisan way on legislation that impacts the whole state in a really positive way.
Well, we appreciate that because housing isn't always seen as apolitical. It sometimes gets very political. You know, you've also introduced legislation that would bring triplexes, quadplexes, 5plexes, and 6plexes in residential structures under the Michigan Residential Building Code. Right now, they're built under the commercial code, which changes the cost dynamic. Why did you feel it was important to bring those structures under the residential building code?
I mean, we're having residents getting put in there, so I think it's as simple as we want to reduce regulations and reduce costs, and that's really the reason I push for these bills is as simple as I want to reduce cost, keep safety, keep I like to look at the residential building code there are so many regulations in there, hundreds and hundreds of pages. I think 1,000 maybe now.
I think it's north of 1,000, honestly.
North of 1,000. You know, when my family started, I don't think there was a residential building code. I'll be honest. I think it's good we have a residential building code, but I think we've gotten away from the real reason we have one. And again, this bill, the up to sixplex, putting that in the residential building code is going to be a positive thing for our builders. But it's, you know, the end result is helping the consumer to get consumers in homes, and this will do that.
Speaking of the Michigan Residential Code, you have also introduced a bill that would bring back advisory committees to the code promulgating process. Why is it important for you to reinstate a process that was removed not through legislation but through executive order in the previous administration, but to bring back that industry involvement?
Yeah, for me it's important. I mean, we don't have input from industry right now, and I think really the purpose of this legislation is to ensure our electricians, our plumbers, and our builders have the ability to put people on this board that are advising as to what goes into the residential building code. For years and years, we've just been inserting regulation after regulation, and I think we've gotten away from the idea that safety is the number one concern of the residential building code, and we've really broadened the scope of it. So let's rein it in a little bit, get some industry experts weighing in on it, and I think that's the right course of action for our state.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that advisory committee is it brings in all voices to the table. It brings in labor, it brings in inspectors, it brings in fire marshals, so anybody who's really dealing with the residential code is at the table so that they can have those conversations. And hopefully we will see movement on that piece of legislation this year. I'd like to thank you for joining us at our Down at the Dome edition, and for welcoming us into your office and for taking time out of your schedule.
Absolutely. Thanks, Don.